So back again, and I've cleaned these all up, having a quick look around them. Can't really see much anything wrong with them really. So all the cases been cleaned, head's been cleaned, this has been smoothed out. So finished service then, getting back together. So let's have a quick look at the motor. So say that's part of our circuit board, this motor. This is a thermo fuse, so it trips out. This is that button that was sticking out the back. They do pack up, they go so many times and then they go. If they go, it usually means there's a problem in the motor or the circuit board. There's not a lot on these it can do with them really. You can replace the circuit board, you can replace the motor. It's a sealed unit on the motor. All you've got to really look at is that all these parts are connected where they should be. So it would come apart if I wanted to, but there's not much point taking it apart. I've left the wire on as well. Normally I'll take that all off, but that's all okay on there. So just have a quick glance at these wires because I can see there's some marks there. They're intact. That'll turn. So that feels a little bit tight. So what I'm going to do, this is a circuit cleaner, so it's nothing fancy. It's just a contact cleaner for circuits. So you give them a shake. Because I can't get this apart, it's something that I can't, normally I would have all that apart and clean them all up, but I can't really do a lot with them. That feels a little bit smoother now. So you don't need to do anything to that, just leave it and it dries on its own. Get rid of that. That case, a bit of a wipe off, then back to paper towels. So that part is pretty much good to go. We've got a little bearing in the back of there and a little bearing in there. So we get a little drop of oil for them. So a little drop of oil, this is a clipper oil. I think it's just a very weak type of oil, don't they? Little tiny drop, that's all it needs, nothing major. Just enough to give it a little bit of a smoothness into that bearings there. So that feels good. So this one here, clipper head side of it, you've got a few little parts on here. You can also, where the shaft goes through there, you can get these apart, but they're so solid and I don't know if they glue these together. Every time I've done them, this end comes off and bits don't go, so I never normally bother. So a little drop in there. Better. Up. Give that a twiddle. That feels better as well. And then the other part you've got is in there. So this little part on the end here is a little bearing. So see where that oil hole moves. So you want to put a little drop of oil into that. So again, we're going to line it up. Squeeze a little bit of drop of oil in there. Give that a little run around with your fingers. And I tend to go as well just on that edge there. So what I'm going to do is put a little drop just in there. Sometimes they seize up. They're not the end of the world if it doesn't turn. It just means that you've got to really think about how it's going to rest on your blades and what it's going to do. So that all feels good. The other thing that this had was these two little holes here. Where's my little pointer thing? These two holes here, the back of the clipper head, they're for lubrication as well. So when you look from the outside, there's two little bits here. So when you're oiling your blades, put a little drop of oil in there as well. So let's remove that excess oil which I've got on my hands and now wiped everywhere else. So the other part that has some oil on it is the fan here. So this part here just pushes on the end of that. It's got a little bearing on there. So again, that feels good to go. I can't see anything with that. And all you want to look at on here is where it moves. So again, where's my little pointer thing like that? It's this part here, so between there and there that moves. They're the only bits really where you need to just put a little drop of oil in there. So all we're going to do again is just line it up on that. A couple of little drops on there. Work it in. Line that rubber O-ring, so that's like a dust seal and a vibration thing. Now let's go back, getting these back together. So this has got a flat inside there, it only goes on one way. Just pushes into there. One half of this has got that cable clamp on it, the other half hasn't, so we're going to lose that side for the time being. This is the bit we're going to work on. So what we need to figure out is, this motor can obviously go either way, but what we want is this down the bottom, so it's going to sit there, and then the motor at the top. So just go by how these wires are here. because this is really the way it's going to make it go. You don't want to start extra twisting your wires if you can help it. So one's going to sit in there and one's going to go there. All we've got to do is line this edge of this circuit board up with that little piece there. So all we're going to do is line them up. That's in there. You can see it fits in nice. The motor itself is going to just push up against there. Just sits into this point here. Do you see that O-ring just move there? Just make sure that's in the right spot. And that's all into there. So the clamp itself, it's going to push across. So the cable cover goes there. We're going to try and line these all up with the marks that it already had, the original marks. And this piece here is going to sit back on top of there, and it just protects them wires again from the screws and stuff if you're putting them in. So little small ones. As with most of these, go easy on them first. Push in, because what you don't want to do is cut another thread. That one there doesn't look like it's lined up very well, so I'm just going to find the hole. There it is. Again, I'm not putting any downward pressure on that. I'm just relying on the fact that it's going to find its own thread. So what we're going to do now is tie them up. That's good. That one's good. Cables looks nice. Nice and snug. A bit of hair that I've appeared from somewhere. Turn on the motor. That works well. So, the switch. The bit that turns this on and off, this part here is the switch. And all we're looking at is it presses that button down there. So although your switch is up here, the bit you're actually moving is down the bottom there. So all we're going to do is line this up. It sits in there and sits back there. So if we look at this, this is it off, and then as you push it forward, it pushes across there and just clips it on. Quite clever. Takes you away from any electrical components again, because that's what I say with this double insulated stuff. This is what it's good for. So next half. Line that up with a little drop of oil got inside there. Now what we've got to get here is this sticker over the top of the other. Actually, I should point that out on the sticker. If you notice, the reason you cut that side when you take the bit off is because it's got a cut out on it, which means you can get this in and off. If you do it the other way round, you can't get to that part. So make sure that's back in there. We need to line this up with that slot in there. It's always going to be fun, isn't it? And everything else all needs to line up, and we need that sticker on the other side. So I'm going to start off first of all by pushing that underneath, and I'm just going to let it bring itself around, and it's just starting to go on. So all it wants to do is clip into place. You shouldn't have to do anything tight. See where it doesn't want to go there? It's not quite lined up. So let's have a little fiddle, and I think, and usually if it's not quite lined up, it's usually because this has moved. So let's have another go. So just under the sticker, let it settle, push it round, still don't want to line up. And that's it there, I believe. So again, I tend to hold these still and just have a little turn of the motor. So grip it tight in your hand, and it goes. So we're going to put in this one at the back there. So this is the longer screw, remember? Top ones are the longer screws. And then we're going to use the bottom ones. We're not going to put that one in. So the three shorter ones. Not sure which ones it has. Some of these have, so I think I said it, some have 2 screws at the bottom. Some have 3. So Lister Star and Lister Neon are pretty much the same clipper. Don't know what's the difference with them. Probably some design difference somewhere. And the last one there. Tighten these all up. So that's our main motor back together. We've got the filter. I've glued a bit on there, that bit of foam that was falling off the bottom, so I've glued it back on just to try and keep it in place as this goes in, because it keeps wanting to push that one out. So that's a foam air filter. You need to keep them clean. That's why they're designed to push in and out. It actually says on the side there reset, so if it does clip out, that's what you want to press. So the head then. Head's nice and simple. We're going to put a bit of grease on there. Between metal and plastic you don't normally need grease, but yeah, I had grease beforehand, so I'm going to put some grease on it. And we can see there that that lug fits between, so that lug there with the hole in it fits between where that screw hole is going to be down there. So the screw will go in there and that part's what's going to line up. So that's why a lot of people, they pull that bit out the bottom and then sit here pulling it and then snap that off. This piece will snap off fairly easy. The other thing that's quite common is people drop it, it knocks that head and twists that and snaps that as well. So I've got quite a few of these where that bit's broke. You can buy them, they're not too bad in price. I've got a second-hand ones of them all over the place now. So a bit of grease into there. Nothing fancy, it's just a normal bit of bog standard multi-purpose grease. Just need to smear it in. Doesn't even need to go all the way around, just to know you've got enough that's on there. So let's get this bit back together. So it's going to slot into there, into there. It pushes itself in nice. We're going to hold it in place. I'm going to take this little piece off here, and all this does is pokes through the holes. Let's show you again. Pokes through the holes and catches on them two little pieces there. So there's a slot one side and a hole the other side. I'm guessing that when they do this, they put that together and then drill that, and that's where it depends on where it is. We're going to do it in reverse. We're going to go through here, push it down. It needs to go completely flat. Pushing it flat's always a bit awkward for us, but just use a flat of a screwdriver to push on it. So make sure it's right in. Then we're going to take the other screw that we missed out from the first time round, poking it into there, and again just ease it in. It should just drop through. I just felt that thread go, so that's nice and easy. So we've just got that, and our blades need to be sharpened, so I'm not going to put them back on. Got two sets of blades. This set are a bit on the rusty side, so they really need a bit of a clean up. What you really want to do is when you finish clipping your horse, clean your blades up. If you wash them off, make sure they're dry, and then just put a bit of your clipper oil and just rub it on with your hands. Careful with these teeth, because sometimes they do cut your fingers, but just rub it onto your hands, and it just means you get a little light oily surface on it, which is why these ones that have been on there, although the hair's been brushed off, there's no rust on them, whereas they've been left in storage for a while and they've got the rust on them. But that's just a little top tip there. So get a little bit of oil, make your oil on it, you only need a little tiny drop, and just give it a good rub over, and that oil will just protect your blades a little bit better. So pat test side of it, they're going to get done a bit later. All of this I know was good. I've already looked at it, so I know there's no cracks on it, there's no damage to it. This all wants to move, it's quite happy. Next thing I need to look at is there a 3 amp fuse in there, which there is, so I can just see that through there. It's a UK spec plug, so that's fine. It's got the right British standards on it. And I can see it. I know it's got it on it, so we're up here somewhere. There it is, just in there, so it's got the right standard on it. Cable itself, although it's got a bit of a tight kink there, I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem. All I need to do is have a little run down the length of a cable. And what I'm looking for is any damage. If there's any damage to that cable sheath, it's no good to us. We'll have to get rid of it. As with most of these cables, everything is all twisted and tangled up together. That all looks good to me, so let's go for a little test on it and see what it does. So we've plugged it in. It's plugged in, it shouldn't do anything because it's switched off at the mains still there, which is good going. Everything else is all set. Buttons in. I'm going to switch the power on, that's off. So a little bit of noise is going to come up. I don't sound the greatest, it sounds quite rough to me. Roughness sounds more like it's in that head there than it does anywhere else. Let's put a little drop more oil in there, see if we can quiet that down a little bit. So the good thing is they work. How long they'd start working for under pressure is hard for me to test, and the only way I can do that is by switching these on, go and put the kettle on and have a cuppa. And once I've had my coffee, if it's still running 20 minutes or so later, then we should be good to go. So that's what I'm going to do now. Come back to you in a bit. Wow, I've had them running for about 20 minutes. Nothing's happened to them. They're not hot. They all sound the same. There's no heat at all. Usually that's the first sign that something's going to go. Cable's not warm. There's a little bit of warmth just at the back here, but not too bad. That's probably where it's been spinning the bench. But otherwise, they seem to go. Problem I always have, me running them here on the bench like this doing nothing, doesn't put them under stress, does it? Whereas when you've got blades on and you're cutting through hair, especially if it's a bit of a heavy horse with thick hair, thick coat, obviously it's going to put more stress on it. So my tip to you, I have people who say to me, oh, it was getting really hot, and then I carried on and then they went bulb. But if they're starting to get warm, that's usually a sign that there's a problem with it. So if you're clipping and your horse, your clippers are starting to get warm, I'm going to put my teeth back in. Stop clipping, just let them cool down. Take the blades out, have a look. Quite often you'll find that the blades are so hot, they're probably really uncomfortable on your horse. So then your people are moaning that their horse is running around and spooking and pouncing about. It's because your clippers are getting hot. So I'm quite happy with these. I've just got to plug them in my machine, do a proper pat test on the last part of it, and they're ready to go back to customer. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be all right. Anyway, if you like the video and you enjoy it, if you like these clippers even, just let me know. They're not my favourite clippers. I get a lot of these. I've got a box full of parts of these where they've all got burnt out motors and things like that, and just not wrong. But if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll try and get a few more done. I'll try and be a bit more proactive than what I've been at the moment, as I've been a bit quiet with it, with everything that's gone bad with me. Any comments, leave them in the comments box below. And if you need your clipper servicing, I can still do clipper servicing. So it's oaksidesaddlery@gmail.com. Anyway, have a good day and enjoy yourself. Goodbye.